So we learned in the last video that even in the face of sickness and death, there's an incredible sense of hope that we can have because heaven is for real, and Jesus is preparing a place for us. But the question that really leads to, and it's the last question in this series, is, well, then how can I know for sure I'll be in heaven? Because it doesn't give you any hope if you're not sure that you'll be there. You know, most people live with a sense of uncertainty about heaven. Most people these days kind of get a sense that it's like these scales that you just sort of hope that the good in your life will outweigh the bad in your life, and that over time that you know that he's a good guy, and so he'll just sort of make up the difference, or we just hope it kind of works out in the end. But I don't know about you, but for me that would make me incredibly fearful, because I don't know if the good in my life outweighs the bad. I've done some pretty bad things. I'm sure you have too. And I've done some good things, but how could I ever know? How could I ever be sure? And so a lot of people have this incredible sense of uncertainty because they think this is how it works. But see, the Bible says that this isn't how it works. In fact, the Bible teaches that you can't get there by your works. You can't get there by the good outweighing the bad. In Romans 3, it says it like this: therefore, no one will be declared righteous or good enough for God by the works of the law or by keeping the rules. In fact, it says that actually what the law does is it makes us conscious of sin. In other words, the law just helps point out that the bad is bad, and that probably the good doesn't outweigh the bad in our life, and that's really the reality of it. But the Bible teaches this incredibly great news, and I really want you to hear this. You can only get to heaven by faith, and this is great news. This is explained later in Romans 3. It says in verse 21, but now apart from the law, apart from following the rules, the righteousness of God has been made known. In verse 22, it says, this righteousness is given through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe. In verse 23, it says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. In other words, you can't outweigh the bad in your life with the good in your life. But in verse 24, the good news is that all are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that came by Jesus Christ. What does it mean by all? It means all people who put their faith in Jesus Christ. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. If you are finishing up this series and you're coping with sickness and death in your own life or in a loved one's life, this is the most important question you can answer. How can I know for sure I'll be in heaven? And the answer is you can know for sure. You don't have to be fearful of it. You can know for sure if you put your faith in Jesus Christ. Now, if you go to our website, rednotesone.org, we've prepared a bunch of videos there to help you to do that. And there's a booklet called Foundations. You can click on this link to download Foundations. Everything's free. And in the first section in the Foundations booklet is called 101, and it lays out the basic message of the Bible by presenting 4 simple truths. And what it will do is will help to lead you to that defining moment, that moment when you can put your faith in Jesus. And listen, this is important to know. You don't have to live in fear what is going to happen to you when you're gone. You don't have to live in fear. You can have hope because heaven is real and Jesus bought it for you. So I encourage you to go to rednotesone.org and watch download Foundations and read through 101 and watch these lesson 1 videos and do take this incredible step of putting your faith in Jesus Christ, and then you don't have anything to fear, and you can look forward to the place that Jesus has prepared for you in heaven.